In this module, we shall learn about what we mean by change in the context of OB, the kinds of change and forces that cause change. We shall also study about resistance to change, its factors, and measures to overcome them. In addition to these, we shall be discussing the approaches for management of change and the concept of J-curve.
Take any industry: automobile, manufacturing, banking, pharmaceutical, biotech, steel, telecommunication, and so on. You will find that industries in the 80s were different from industries in the 70s. Those in the 90s were different from those in the 80s, and so on. All industries have undergone drastic changes for decades. With passage of time, some have died out and some new ones have cropped up, and the rest have undergone significant changes. If industries have changed, then very clearly companies constituting them have also witnessed their own storm and dranks. Microsoft has grown from being a software provider to now offering a gamut of hardwares, smartphones, online gaming consoles, webmail, service, etc. GE has significantly shifted from technology to services and is a leading conglomerate now. Companies that have remained complacent, failed to perceive changes, or have avoided them have eventually been pushed off the playground. For example, companies selling cassettes which did not respond to the development of CDs and had to leave the field. Likewise, CD companies which failed to manage the change posed by a significant change in the market, that is the emergence of internet, which made it possible for people to download movies, songs, text, eventually faced a painful end. Companies that have failed to address the call for change include Nokia for failing to see local competition like Micromax and failing to keep up with global competitors like Apple, BlackBerry, mobile phones to some extent, and so on. In today's fast moving dynamic world, no company can afford to sit complacent. Organization needs to be receptive to the weaknesses of its internal environment and the threats posed by its external environment to effectively turn them into strengths and opportunities respectively.
The term organizational change refers to company-wide changes different from smaller changes of the like hiring a new employee, altering a corporate program, etc. You can see how organizations have changed over time. Their look, way of working have all changed with time. Women now occupy a significant position compared to the past wherein they were confined to the secretary level jobs.
Company-wide changes encompass structuring company operations, adapting to new technologies, merger and acquisition adjustments, right sizing, compliance to programs such as total quantity management TQM and BPR, etc. Organizational changes transform the organization and call for a radical reorientation of the organizational operations. Changes can be planned, or they can be unplanned. Planned changes are relatively easy to manage. For example, if a company seeks to modernize its operations in the light of changes in IT and competition, it can prepare the workplace and workforce to embrace the change by providing them adequate skills through training. In this way, resistance is minimized and change manifests in the organization. When the organization has the will and intention to carry out some change for which it can strategize systematically, such a change is called a planned change. And unplanned changes are changes which catch the organization unaware and call for immediate action to avoid adversities and adversaries. For example, if in an organization majority of the employees threaten to leave their job and work elsewhere due to rigid working schedule, this change can be called unplanned since the management did not see it coming.
Over the years, we have seen that industries and companies have changed. With passage of time, some have died out, some new ones have cropped up, and the rest have undergone significant changes. Change is the prerequisite for growth and survival. Companies that have been proactive in dealing with change include the market leaders like Microsoft, Samsung, Apple, and so on. GE, for example, has shifted from technology to services and is a leading conglomerate now. We can see how Microsoft company has grown from being a software provider to now offering a gamut of hardwares, smartphones, online game console, webmail services, etc. Companies that have remained complacent, failed to perceive changes, or have avoided them have eventually been pushed off the playground. For example, companies selling cassettes which did not respond to the development of CDs had to leave the field. Likewise, CD companies which ignored the emergence of internet eventually faced a painful end. Companies that have failed to address the call for change include Nokia for failing to see local competition like Micromax and failing to keep up with global competitors like Apple, etc. BlackBerry mobile phones to some extent have also overlooked changes facing them. In today's fast-moving dynamic world, no company can afford to sit complacent. An organization needs to be receptive to the weakness of its internal environment and the threats posed by its external environment to effectively turn them into its strengths and opportunities respectively. After knowing the importance of change, let us now know what are the two major kinds of change. Organizational change can be classified into two broad categories. The first category is planned change. Planned changes are relatively easy to manage. For example, if a company seeks to modernize its operations in light of changes in IT and competition, it can prepare the workforce to embrace the change by providing them adequate skills through training. In this way, resistance is minimized and change manifests in the organization. Thus, we may say that when the organization has the will and intention to carry out some change for which it can strategize systematically, such a change is called a planned change. The second category of change is unplanned change. Unplanned changes are changes which catch the organization unawares and call for immediate action to avoid adversaries. For example, if in an organization, majority of the employees threaten to leave their job and work elsewhere due to rigid work timings, health concerns, and so on, this change can be called unplanned since the management did not see it coming. We shall now discuss the forces that cause change. The first among them is change in the nature of workforce. With restrictions on the movement of labor between countries dissipating, organizational workforce has become culturally diverse. Next factor is technology. Just when a firm responds to a technological development, a newer, path-breaking technological development surfaces. Firms have to continually respond to such technological advancements through focus on innovation, R&D in order to survive and grow. Next is economic shocks. These are unexpected and unpredictable changes that affect an economy, either positively or negatively. Economic shocks are also known to impose changes on organizations. For example, the emergence, growth, boom, and subsequent bust of the dot-com bubble has had serious ramifications for the industry. Let us now move to the fourth factor, that is competition. With globalization gaining momentum, competitors are increasing and competition is becoming more and more tough. As a consequence of heightened competition, firms are focusing on short production runs and product cycles with constant development of new product. At the same time, in order to be more agile, firms are moving towards flexibility with respect to business processes and policies. This shows how competition is imposing changes on organizations. We have social trends, world politics, and new legislations and regulations influencing changes in organizations.
Social trends are changing fast and organizations need to respond to them. For example, internet is a major factor responsible for a paradigm shift in information sharing. Today, all information is just a click away. Any communication is just a call away, and any destination is just a matter of some hours. E-commerce has changed the market scenario such that more and more firms today are seeking an online presence. Increased public sensitivity to environmental issues and animals have also forced firms to change. World politics also has a bearing on organizational change. Opening up of Chinese and Southeast Asian markets, political unrest in different countries of the world, rise of Muslim fundamentalism, etc., have all caused major change requirements for firms. Hostile behavior between nations in the form of restrictive trade and investment policy, invasions, etc., has major consequences for the business. With new legislations and regulations governing specific businesses, firms have to undergo considerable change. In recent times, increased attention is being given to socially and environmentally responsive behavior of the corporates called corporate social responsibility.
After knowing about change and its factors, let us now see how employees perceive this change and why they respond this way. Resistance to change is a natural response to change. To an extent, it is a healthy response as well. Employees resist change as it involves a shift from their equilibrium. Employees are comfortably settled in the organization until a change comes and disturbs this equilibrium. It calls for breaking their status quo. At the individual level, habit, security concerns, fear of the unknown, economic factors, and selective information processing cause this resistance to change.
Organization members resist change. Resistance to change is a healthy response to change. It is in fact positive in the sense that it makes employees' behavior somewhat predictable and stable. It is said that people do not resist change itself, rather, they resist those aspects of change which personally affect them, such as fear of the unknown, status, and communication, etc. Resistance to change needs to be recognized and effectively managed in order to embed change into the organization. Resistance to change can be tacit, implicit, immediate, or deferred. Implicit and immediate resistance is relatively easy for management to deal with. For example, a company proposes to computerize its work. Workers will resist this change by threatening to go on strikes, slowing down their pace of work, or complaining, etc. This is implicit and immediate resistance to change. It can be managed by way of effective two-way communication, participative decision making, providing for requisite skill training. Implicit resistance surfaces at a later stage and is often difficult to recognize. Such a loss of loyalty towards the organization, reduced motivation to work, degradation of work quality apparent in increased defects and errors. Likewise, deferred resistance to change is also not easy to manage. It gets accumulated over time and eventually explodes in a manner way out of proportion to the level of change initiated.
At the organizational level, structural inertia, group inertia, threat to expertise, and threat to established power relations cause the resistance.
Structural inertia. In order to impart stability to the organization, companies generally have standard processes and regulations. More often than not, this standardization causes rigidity which counterbalances all efforts to change. Group inertia. Group inertia is said to exist when even if individuals want to change behavior, they are unable to do so due to group norms. For example, union members may be ready to accept changes proposed by the management in his work, but is unable to do so because the union policy dictates non-acceptance of bilateral changes made by management. This is a case of group inertia. Very often, this group inertia acts as a strong deterrent to change. Threat to expertise. Change in the organizational pattern often tends to jeopardize the expertise of specialized groups. For example, automation of processes is taken to be synonymous to loss of jobs at various levels of work. This is to say that employees perceive that technological advancements at workplace will replace human workers and hence resist technological advancements in the workplace. Threat to established power relations. If a change calls for redistribution of power, relations such that those holding substantial power before implementation of change tend to face significant dilution of their authority, it tends to cause resistance to change.
However, this resistance must be overcome in order to effectively implement the change. It can be overcome through an open two-way communication, by imparting training to enhance skills, seeking participation of employees in the change decision, by fair implementation of change, and through manipulation, co-optation, and coercion.
We know that business environment is dynamic and organizations cannot afford to overlook these forces. Once the organization identifies the need for change and the direction of it, it is bound to face resistance. At this stage, the management needs to identify and overcome the various forms of resistance that are obstacles in its way of implementing the change. Various measures have been suggested to deal with resistance to change. Some of them are communication. At the heart of every successful change management program lies effective communication. Unless people in the organization are communicated about the proposed change, its relevance, requirements, consequent benefits to them, etc., they cannot be expected to accept and adapt to the change. Rather, their resistance will only grow. Organizations need to effectively market change such that employees willingly embrace them. Education, imparting formal training to employees to augment their capability, capacity, productivity, and performance in the change scenario is known to reduce resistance. Training also helps to maintain, upgrade and update skills essential for career growth. Participation. Every organization needs to understand and appreciate that its workforce possess the ability to contribute effectively to decision making. Their involvement in a change decision will help elicit the workforce participation and commitment towards the change management program. It is generally seen that workers have an inherent mistrust in the management. So, if employee representatives work with the management on issues concerning the organization involving the change program, employee commitment towards the task can be obtained. Fair implementation of changes. Change should be implemented fairly and consistently in the organization so that some employees do not feel overburdened to the benefit of the remaining others. Manipulation and co-optation. Manipulation is a type of social influence that attempt to change behavior of others through deceptive tactics. In context of organizational behavior and change, manipulation involves twisting and distorting facts pertaining to change to make it appear attractive without undesirable information in order to elicit a favorable response to change. Co-optation is a combination of manipulation and participative decision making. With co-optation, even a greater commitment to change can be evoked from the employees. Coercion. Coercion involves use of intimidation or threats or some other form of threats on resistors. Threats in this case may be in the form of transfers, pay cuts, negative performance evaluations, and so on to force the resistors to adopt the change.
After knowing about change, factors causing change, and resistance to change, let us now study about the management of change. Management of change deals with the systematic response to change. The objective of every organization should be to proactively manage changes rather than reacting to them. There are three approaches to management of change. The most common approach is given by Levin. The other two approaches include action research and organizational development. Let us now try to understand the first approach to management of change, that is, Levin's three-step model. The first stage, as shown here, is unfreezing. This stage involves overcoming inertia and dismantling the existing mindset. In this stage, people in the organization are aware that old ways are being challenged but do not have a clear picture as to what is replacing them and why. At this stage, management has to take measures to break the status quo or the equilibrium to move ahead. This can be achieved by increasing the driving forces or by decreasing the restraining forces or by using a combination of both. Let us now move to the second approach, that is action research. Action research is a scientific methodology for managing planned changes in organizations. It involves systematic data collection based on the analysis of which the action is undertaken. Just as a doctor diagnoses an ailment, analyzes it, takes patients' feedback, gives medicines, and ascertains the improvement on patients' health, similarly, organizations can also manage their planned changes. The process of action research involves 5 steps. The first step is diagnosis. In this stage, the change agent interviews employees, examines records, etc., in order to find out the problem. The second step is analysis. Based on diagnosis in the first stage, the change agent analyzes the information in order to identify primary issues facing the organization. The third step relates to feedback. At this stage, the change agent shares and discusses the findings of his or her analysis. Along with this, an action plan to the problem is developed through open communication. The action plan thus developed is implemented, after which the post-change performance is compared with the pre-change performance in order to gauge the effectiveness of the action taken. Let us now understand organizational development as an approach to managing change. Organizational development is a concept of planned change interventions that seek to improve the organizational effectiveness and/or efficiency. Organizational development focuses on individual and organizational growth, participative and collaborative thinking, and a spirit of research. Though the change agent is the initiator of change, there is a strong emphasis on co-actions. The broad values which constitute organizational development are as follows. Firstly, respect for people. Respect for people means that individuals should be treated with dignity and respect. Each individual is taken to be responsible and capable. Secondly, power equalization and participation. Power equalization and participation means that the focus of organizational development should be decentralization of authority and control, that is, empowerment of people. Collaboration and participation should be emphasized to lead the organization towards effectiveness and efficiency. Thirdly, confrontation. Confrontation means that all problems should be openly challenged. No problem should be left unexposed and unchallenged. Lastly, trust and support. Trust and support means that the organization culture should be such that it fosters mutual trust, cooperation, openness, support, such that the goal of organizational development can be achieved. After knowing about the approaches to management of change, we shall now discuss the concept of J-curve. J-curve demonstrates the employee reactions, performance, and attitudes at different stages in the change process. Anticipation of these reactions at various stages can help managers devise suitable strategies to deal with the different kinds of employee emotional obstructions that jeopardize the management of change efforts. In this way, J-curve is an innovative way of managing change. J-curve splits the change process into 5 stages and attempts to plot employee net performance at each stage. It measures net performance given by the difference between successes and failures on job on the x-axis and time period on the y-axis.
Let us recapitulate what we have learned in this module. The term organizational change refers to company-wide changes encompassing restructuring company operations, adapting to new technologies, merger and acquisition adjustments, right sizing, compliance to programs such as TQM, BPR, etc. Organizational changes transform the organization and call for a radical reorientation of the organizational operations. Changes can be planned or unplanned. Planned changes are easy to manage when the organization has the will and intention to carry out some change for which it can strategize systematically. Such a change is called a planned change. Unplanned changes are changes which catch the organization unaware and call the immediate action to avoid adversaries. Forces that cause change are change in the nature of workforce, technology, economic shocks, competition, social trends, world politics, new legislations and regulations. Resistance to change is a healthy response to change. Resistance to change can be tacit, implicit, immediate or deferred. Resistance to change can be caused by individual as well as organizational sources. Individual sources include habit, security, fear of unknown, economic factors and selective information processing. Organizational factors include structural and group inertia, threat to expertise and established power relations. Resistance to change can be overcome through communication and education, participation, fair implementation of changes, manipulation, co-optation and coercion. Kurt Lewin has identified 3 stages in the management of change process: unfreezing, movement and refreezing. J-curve demonstrates the employee reactions, performance and attitudes at different stages in the change process.
In this module, we have learnt about organizational change, forces that cause these changes, which include change in the nature of workforce, technology, economic shocks, competition, social trends, world politics, new legislations and regulations. We then studied about resistance to change. It is a healthy response to change that can be tacit, implicit, immediate or deferred. It can be caused by individual as well as organizational sources. Resistance to change can be managed by communication, education, participation, fair implementation of change, manipulation, co-optation and coercion. The module also talked about change management approaches in which we studied Levin's 3-step model, action research and organizational development. Lastly, we also discussed the J-curve as an innovative method for managing change.